Hi, guys. Welcome back to Pinnacle Healthcare Staffing, where we are getting to know a nurse for our Get to Know a Nurse Mondays. So today we're with Georgie.
Hello.
Some of you, if you're watching from Philly, some of you might recognize her from her Instagram at the Lone Bruncher. But if you didn't know, she's also an OBGYN nurse. So that's what we're going to talk about today a little bit. So welcome.
Thank you.
Of
Thanks for
course.
having me.
Of course. So tell us about you, why you became a nurse, how that occurred, just let us know the history.
Sure. So actually, nursing was not my first career path.
Mm-hmm.
I was an interior designer for 9 years before I went back to school. So I had been working in the interior design industry, architectural industry. I got my first degree from Drexel.
Mm-hmm.
And around the time I turned 30, I had gotten laid off from my latest interior design job. Whenever the economy wasn't great, that's when there would be big layoffs.
Mm-hmm.
At that same time, ironically, the person I'm married to now, we were together back then, and I just had broken up with him. We were together for 7 years. So I kind of felt like I needed to shake things up and change my life a little bit. So I'm one of 5 siblings, and 3 of them are also nurses. And so they kind of inspired me because I was like, I know I want to go back to school for something, but I don't know what. And I never thought, because I'm a creative, that nursing would have been the thing for me. But here we are. I did an accelerated bachelor's degree program, and I got my nursing degree in 14 months. It was really challenging. And while I was doing my clinicals, I was nervous because I thought that peds was going to be my route. I had envisioned that. And when I had my peds rotation, I was like, oh no, I made a big mistake.
Like, wait, what am I doing now?
Yeah, I was like, oh God. So when I had my women's health rotation, it was like the light kind of went like I was like, I'm in my world, and here I am.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So how long have you been a nurse now?
So it's almost 13 years.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So, you became a nurse because lifestyle change. You're one of those people that became a nurse after having their first career, which is very common. You chose OBGYN because that just kind of made sense, right?
Yeah, it did.
Do you think you'll stay there? Do you feel very comfortable in
yes.
where you're okay?
I will never not be in women's health, and most specifically OB.
Yeah.
So I was a labor and delivery nurse for about 5 years, and then I transferred outpatient to, it's called maternal fetal medicine, but it's still like high risk obstetrics for pregnant women.
Cool.
Yeah.
So I guess that leads me into my next question, which I'm dying to ask. Of like, you have your lifestyle change. You're obviously creative. You go into nursing, and then somehow you become a food and beverage influencer. Walk me through that.
Sure. So even prior to everything, I've always been a foodie, I would say. I was one of those people that was sort of always on the pulse of like what's new and what's good. And, I have been, although I didn't live in Philadelphia originally, I lived so close to Philadelphia, went to college in Philly. And so, when I was 21 years old, places like Budokan were just like coming up, and it was really new and exciting and fun, and I was really into it. And I started taking pictures of my food kind of before it was like the cool thing to do. And after some persuasion from like my friends and family, they're like, you should start an Instagram page. And I was like, who's going to want to follow me? Like, what? So I did it kind of just for fun. And now 5 years later, 41,000 followers.
Yeah.
It's so much fun. I love it so much. It's like such a nice balance from like the nursing life to my creative side again. I get to express myself in that way, and it's really fun.
Yeah. Because were you nursing full time then after you made the switch
from
interior design, having your layoff period, and then you were just nursing full time?
Yes.
So how was that transition from nursing back into kind of a creative space, and now you're doing them Would you say half and
simultaneously.
half, or would you say?
So when I started my nursing career inpatient as labor and delivery, I worked 312s, and I was not doing the page at that time. It was like kind of right before COVID happened when I started my page. And at that time, I was in the outpatient setting working 410 shifts. So as things started to grow and build with my brand on the Instagram side, you know, it was really hard to balance both things. Getting invited to events and dinners and such, I had to turn down a lot of things because after working 10-hour days and then schlepp from University City to wherever, it was a little bit challenging. But just recently in March, I reduced my hours to what would be considered part-time. They're 9-hour shifts, and I work 3 days a week. So I have a lot more flexibility, and so I can focus more of my time on the content creation, which I love. So it's great. Awesome. Yeah.
So you mentioned, you know, always having your finger on the pulse, which I don't know. I thought that was a good way to say that. You know, what do you think your edge is when it comes to this creative side that you're doing?
Sure. Well, first, I pride myself on just being super authentic. You know, what you see is what you get. And I just feel like I have sort of that knowledge, I guess, because maybe of my age as well. I've been around the block a little, you know, so I feel like I'm trusted and I'm a good resource, and I really pride myself, you know, with that. And I feel like that's what gives me sort of that edge.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm not trying to be like everybody else. And I think it comes across, I think.
Yeah, you're just doing it because you enjoy it.
Yes.
And it happens to kind of work out that
yes,
way.
Exactly.
People want to keep seeing what you're doing.
Right. And it's nice when I get messages about like, you've never steered me wrong. Like, this was so amazing. And, you know, sometimes creators get a bad rap. And, you know, people will sort of judge us and say like, oh, well, you're always going to say that that's good because they invited you there. And that's actually not the case.
True.
For me personally, I will never, if I have a bad experience, I'm not going to share about it. I'm not into the whole, like, I'm going to give you my honest review, because if I don't have a nice experience and I don't have something nice to say, I'm not going to necessarily do that to that business.
Right.
You know?
You're not a food critic.
No, I'm not.
Right.
However, I always share the positive and the good things. And a lot of the times, most of my experiences are wonderful and it's easy to share about them. But if there's not a good experience, then I'm not going to share because it's not authentic.
I've heard that from a lot of people. I actually have a lot of chef friends who will do the exact same thing. And those are people that are literally inside the industry saying like, I always support when I go out, but if they're like, I take pictures of every single meal, but the only ones you'll ever see on my social media are the ones that I liked.
Exactly.
Because why drag someone down?
Exactly. Right. That's not my intention. You know, my intention is to lift and support, you know, and just all around be sort of a positive thing.
Do you feel like that's your key to success, being authentic, or do you have other, I don't know, little things that you're like, oh, this makes me.
I think the authenticity is a really big part, like I was saying, but also I really take pride in the content that I produce. So for me, it is quality over quantity. You know, I do post regularly. I'm fortunate enough to have enough content to be able to do that, but I'm not going to be one of those people that's just going to share just to share. And I think that when you take pride in your content and how it looks and appears, you know, that's going to also entice people to want to follow you and look at it. And, you know, they're like, wow, that looks really nice. So I think that's really important as well.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not the influencer, but I would agree.
Yeah, and I think you know, it's kind of, you can see it when you are sort of scrolling and you can see the creatives that, you know, really put that effort into producing the most high quality content.
You absolutely can. Like, we all spend so much time on our phones. Everyone is fighting for your time. It's the most, you know, non-renewable resource we have, and the most coveted resource we have is our time. So to be able to capture someone's attention on their phone that has taken away our attention span,
exactly,
it's
to
a
like
challenge.
Stop the scroll,
right?
You know?
It's a skill
yeah,
to be able to do that.
I try.
You do a good job.
Thanks.
Personally, I think you do a good job.
Thank you so much.
Everybody, you should look it up.
Follow me.
The Lone Bruncher. So where would you say, if you were just, sitting here right now, thinking about yourself, where would you say your heart is today when it comes to being a lifestyle creative, being in nursing? It's in both. Maybe you're thinking of transitioning into one more or the other. What are you feeling?
So at this point in time, I like having the balance of both, and they're both very different from one another. And it's also nice that I get to share like little sneak peeks of the nursing world, because a lot of people don't really know all about that, especially OBGYN. I feel like it's kind of like, whoa. So for now, both. And you never know what's going to happen in the future, because like I said, I do really love the content creation, and it has opened a lot of wonderful opportunities that I would have never had before. And I'm kind of going to continue on that trajectory and just see where it takes me. I'm going to plug myself. I was actually nominated as a finalist for the Philly Mag Influencer Awards for food and beverage. So that's so exciting. And it just, I feel really honored and validated that, I am, a good creator and put out good stuff, and people like me.
It's the affirmation of like what you're doing is working.
Yes.
To have just a People's Choice Award essentially, and to get the votes just based on the things you put out there. That's really wonderful.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I voted for her. I know it's supposed to be confidential, but
thank you much. I so appreciate that.
Welcome. Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm so happy for you.
Thank you.
So, you have this balance. Do you feel like being an influencer and having this outlet makes you a better nurse?
Maybe. I'm a personable kind of person. I'm not really an introvert. I'm more extroverted. So that is helpful because, I'm putting out this side of me for everyone to see. And, I think that that's helpful in a way. I've always been super compassionate and empathetic, to my patients, especially my patient population, pregnant women in the West Philly area. So, yeah, I would say so.
Yeah. You spend a lot of time in nursing taking care of other people and giving attention to your patients. Who takes care of you and shows you love?
First and foremost, I have to say I take care of myself. I take good care of myself. I'm a huge proponent in like self-care and taking care of yourself. On my days off, I love to just do things that I enjoy, sit with a cup of coffee, go out and shoot content, just like do things for me. I treat myself. I get some blowouts sometimes, but then I also have an amazing support system. My family is incredible. My parents, they're so cute, and they are always, cheering me on. Same thing with my siblings. And now my husband and his family, like his sisters, are so great and so supportive. Like they're also become like big cheerleaders of mine, which is really, really great. So
yeah, it's awesome. It sounds like family is very important to you when it comes to tough decisions or balancing nursing and lifestyle. How would you say they impacted your journey?
They have just been so supportive from the gate. Like I said, that one of the reasons I started the page was because of my friends and my family, especially my one brother. He works in publishing, and he was like, first you'll have the Instagram, then you'll have the book that we'll publish. And I just cracked up and I was like, okay, Frankie, you are very sweet, but like, I don't think so. I'm not Kylie Jenner.
Yeah, but you could compare yourself to like Michelle Obama.
Right.
Yeah.
I was gently, I was thinking, I'm like somebody who has like so many followers that people are always like, I want to look at her and watch that, So yeah, they've all been super supportive and it's so great. And even in my, decision to reduce my hours with nursing, I also did it partially for my mental health. It's a lot. And I was just feeling kind of burnt out and just reducing down one less day has made a significant difference. And I love that, like, my parents were really supportive. My dad, of course, being like the financial kind of guy that he is, he was like, well, it's going to be a pay cut. And, and my mom was like, but, she has the social media and this is good for her mental health. So it's really cute. And there's, like I said, it's so supportive. So
that's so sweet. Yeah. Parents always have that. I feel like they're at least for me, the financial like little guy on your shoulder that's like, yes, you're taking a day off. Like, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
The world has changed.
Yes.
It's different now.
Yeah, definitely.
If you were giving advice to other nurses, who are creating self-care for themselves, creating that balance, you mentioned a little bit, but like, what are some specific things that are very helpful to you?
I mean, just to really decompress and to separate yourself. And however that is, like I said, for me, I love to just like enjoy a cup of coffee in a big mug. I don't care if it's the summer. I'm always drinking hot black coffee. It just is comforting to me, and it's part of my ritual. I've also been trying to move my body more often, which has been great too. So like taking that hot girl walk and just like clearing your mind. It really works wonders. And I love to travel, and so I'm always planning that next trip because, again, for me, vacation it's wonderful. It's experience, and life is too short to just be work, work, work all the time. I feel like I need to beat that into my husband. He works really, really hard, and he has a very physical, tough job, but I'm trying to impart on him that like we all need to take that time. You need that time for yourself. Life is short again, and life is fleeting, and you never know what's going to happen from one day to the next. So you might as well enjoy it, live it up, and do the things and see the things you want to do.
Yeah, exactly. And that kind of leads into why we do these podcasts. Our tagline is literally taking care of nurses so nurses can take care of you.
Yes.
Because you need to rest.
Yes.
And from an employer standpoint, if you could talk to all the employers in the nursing industry, what would you advise them to do to better support their nurses?
I think they should care about census and staffing, safe staffing ratios. Nurses are getting so burnt out because there are not enough nurses for the patient populations. And, that creates a whole mess of things. But, when you have the appropriate amount of nurses and they're not feeling overstressed, it's just going to be the best combination because you're going to get the best out of your nurses. You're going to get the best patient care and the best advocacy for patients. So I think that's really important.
I think that's a great answer. Hit the nail on the head. So at this point, I just want to ask you questions about Georgie.
Yeah.
Sure. So, what's working really well in your life right now?
I would say for me personally, like my attitude on things, I just got back from a trip to Sicily probably about a month ago, and that sort of shifted my perspective a little. I had such a wonderful, magical time, and when you see sort of the way of life of people outside of the United States, it really puts things into perspective. And I've been trying to hold on to that and take that with me and sort of not sweat the small stuff and just really try to exude as much positive energy as possible because I feel like that can predict how the day is going to go. And so, I think that's important for me. And again, taking the time to do things for myself, to spend time with my friends and my family, and to enjoy life. That's like, it's my big thing. I'm like, I'm going to live my life. I'm having fun. And, you know, I might as well do it now while I'm well and able-bodied.
Yeah.
You know?
That kind of leads me into my next question. You know, if the next 5 years is a chapter in your life, what is that chapter about?
I'm hoping that chapter is one of really getting into the things that I want to do more of the time. My husband is like planning on retiring early, and so that would be within the next 5 years, hopefully. And then I just think there would be more time for things that I already make time for, but even more travel, even more content creation, even more partnerships with brands that I love and things like that. So that's what I'm hoping for.
I love that. Oh, I love this one. What has become clearer to you as you've gotten older?
Well, I feel like as I've gotten older, I have a less tolerance for certain things. And it's so cliche, but I just feel like older and wiser is so true. You know, I look back at like 20-year-old me, and I liked 20-year-old me. She was having fun and she did great, but she was probably like more insecure and more cared about what people thought of her. And now, no, not so much. I'm very secure in the person that I am, and you either like me or you don't like me. And if you don't like me, that's a shame. Maybe you should try to get to know me, because I feel like I am a very kind person and a very empathetic person, and someone who is fun and vibrant and is going to like make you have a good time too, and also lift you up, because I'm the compliment queen. Although I only give compliments when I really mean them, but I love to make people feel good about themselves.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just think that having that attitude of like, you know, not that I don't care, I care, but like, you know, it's you when you're older, you just find yourself more. I think, and that's so important. And I wish my younger self, you know, was like kinder to my younger self too. You know, but
well, you're the person you're going to spend the most time with in your life is yourself.
Yeah.
So you better like them.
Yeah.
Exactly. You're gonna have some problems.
Yeah. True.
So, okay, lastly, you know, how would you define happiness, and have you found it?
I would say I have found it. And happiness to me is being surrounded by the people who you love the most and who make you feel the best. And for me, that, like I said, is my family, is my husband, is my very small group of friends, because everyone lifts me up, makes me feel great, and are supportive and encouraging of my dreams and the things that I want to do. And like I said, I just don't take anything for granted. And I just want to eat all the food and read all the books and go on all the vacations and just, you know, live and enjoy. But I'm doing it. So for me, that's happiness.
I love that. I love that.
Thank you.
You know, before we close, is there anything that's been on your heart recently related to nursing, related to yourself, that you want to share with our nurses?
Well, as far as, you know, nursing, especially women's health, I feel like in our sort of political climate right now, there's a lot of like anxiety and heaviness on me, because, you know, being a woman and then being a woman who works in women's health, and feeling like we do not have autonomy over our bodies or, you know, reproductive freedom, it's really scary to me. And I think that, you know, I don't know how things are going to play out, but I'm going to be hopeful, and I'm always going to advocate again for women and for women's health. And things, you know, those type of things. I know I don't want to get like political, but I just think that it, you know, all of these things are really important, and trying to strip us away of these things that are medically important.
Yeah.
It's just really archaic.
Yeah. I guess if you were looking at yourself in the mirror as another nurse in women's health, what words of encouragement would you give yourself? What would you tell yourself? What resources would you give yourself to continue as you're working in this field during this kind of tumultuous time?
It's just try to stay positive and try to eliminate some of that negativity. It's very easy to get caught up again in the scroll and the things, and to try to step away from that. And again, really just advocate for your patients and women in general, and the things that you believe in, and that will hopefully it'll
work.
I know. It's a little scary, but
Yeah.
that's one of the things that's kind of been weighing on me, but
yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something that needs to be talked about. Like, the whole point of having conversation is to talk about the things that matter.
Yeah.
So deep diving and taking care of each other is a good place to be.
Yeah, agree.
So
100%.
Well, that's a perfect note to leave on, with the positivity of change.
Yes.
And awesome things to come in the future. And yeah.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh my God, of course.
It was so fun.
Thank you guys for watching. This was so fun. I almost lost myself. I was just having a conversation with you. But thank you again. Get to Know a Nurse on YouTube. We also post clips on Instagram and all of our other social media, so you can check out Georgie on Instagram, and we'll tag her there as well, so everybody has her information.
Thank you.
Of course. Bye, guys. See you next time.
Bye.